So apologies if I'm sounding very nasally and a bit blocked up. My holiday air conditioning cold seems to have really come out a fair bit. But I did a video about my top 5 loves and likes about the USA. And this one is my top 5 dislikes, pet hates, whatever you want to call them. Let's call them dislikes of the US. Now before anyone watches this and then decides to have a go at me or whatever, you know, I do suggest you have a look at the other video, which, as I said, is about my 5 likes, what I like about the USA, and noting there that I do say that, you know, it's my favourite country to visit, and you know, I say it's my it would be my #1 choice to live if I couldn't live in the UK, and hopefully that gives a bit of perspective. 5 things I'm going to talk about are not really that big deal, I suppose. We've got two automotive related dislikes and 3 more general ones. My first dislike, coming in at number 5, is bad driving. Now granted, it's kind of, I was driving around in Florida, which is probably full packed of tourists from other countries, and that's perhaps not a great indication, but even on where I've been driving around the States on previous visits, I noticed that the overall standard of driving is pretty crap. You know, I think the driving in the UK can be pretty bad, but it makes our driving on our roads look positively, faultless. No one seems to have any idea of lane discipline whatsoever. Indicators on cars in the States just seem to be pretty lights that occasionally flash on and off and are decorative. No one seems to use them to show what they're doing or anything like that. Kind of pointless. And generally people's lack of awareness is just, people sit in their cars surrounded in their own little bubble with no general awareness of other road users around them. And I don't know whether that's because a lot of the speed limits are a lot less, although in Florida it seems that a lot of the freeway speed limits are 70 miles an hour, 65 or 70, so not really that different from the UK. So number 4 on my list of dislikes, and that is soft suspension on US vehicles. Oh my god! I know there's a standing joke that American cars, even muscle cars, can do straight line speed but can't do corners and kind of fall over when they do corners. Do you know what? I'm just not surprised. The suspension is so soft and wallowy on every single car. I don't know how you live with it. Really don't. I mean, it makes simple things like going on the slit roads on and off the freeway, or as I think they're called in America, the on-ramp and the off-ramp. You have to take them so slowly, because any sort of bend at anything more than about 30 or 35 miles an hour, and the tyres are screeching, the front end's washing out with massive amounts of understeer, and the whole car just rolls and feels like it's going to tip over, which I know it's not going to, but you hit a bump on the road and the car just bounces up and down like boing, 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 boing for about the next 100-200 meters. I'm a pretty good passenger most of the time, but riding in American sprung cars, shall we say, it even makes me feel a little bit travel sick at times. And it's every single American car that I've ever driven or been in. Wallowy, wallowy, understeer. Oh, it's just hideous. And do you know what? I don't think it even makes for a comfortable ride. I mean, you can have soft suspension on a vehicle. I mean, I remember being in the back of a 1990s S-Class Merc, and boy, that suspension was lovely. Yeah, it was so comfortable. It wafted, but it didn't bounce and wallow. And that's the difference. I don't know, it must be what the American market wants. But one thing I'd really love to do is to try something like a 3 Series BMW, standard 3 Series BMW, and a European spec 3 Series BM and a US spec 3 Series, and drive them back to back, and just see what the difference was. I don't know, maybe someone will tell me that not all American cars are like that, but in my experience, and my experience has only been obviously hire cars, in my experience, every single hire car I've ever had in the States, that's exactly how it's been. It's horrible. So moving on to number 3 of my list of dislikes of the US, and this one might seem a little strange, but it's portion size, and specifically portion size of food. People normally complain about portion size when they mean portion size being too small, but you could never ever say that in the States. Portion size, that's not what I'm moaning about. In fact, I'm moaning about portion size being too big. Now, some will say, well, why are you moaning? You're getting better value for money. Well, yeah, and just like the next person, I can eat, and I like a good, healthy size portion. But actually, there are times when it's too big. And the problem I have in the States is that there isn't really an alternative. A great example of this was I went into, I can't remember whether it was McDonald's or Burger King, one of the fast food burger places, and I ordered a combo, which for us Brits is a meal, and I got asked, did I want medium or large? Well, without hesitating, I asked for large, as I would do here in the UK, and large in the UK is good and great. Medium I sometimes find a little bit too small, particularly on the drink size. Well, what a mistake it was to ask for large. I had a box of fries that was the size of a small woman's handbag, and the drink, I mean, they brought me out this cup that, I could have got a soccer ball inside. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was something ridiculous, like 1.2, 1.3 litres in this drink. Well, if people are saying that there's an obesity crisis in the UK, and that there's also an obesity crisis in the US, well, it's not surprising with that. And even the medium size combo meals are the equivalent, if not bigger, than the large size we get over here. And I don't mind having that as an option, but the fact of the matter is there isn't a smaller option. Everything's food-wise seems to be driven around the big is better, and I really don't like that. Number 2 on my dislikes of the USA is the culture of tipping. That might be a controversial one, because I know a lot of people will say that waitresses and waiters, that tipping is their pretty much sole means of income, how they keep a roof over their head and eat, and that's fine. I'm not against the principle of tipping per se, and don't worry, I'm not going to go into a kind of Reservoir Dogs parody, although that scene in Reservoir Dogs does resonate, I think. But there's the expectation that you tip regardless, and the quality of the service dictates how much you tip. So yeah, I saw in places where they were saying that, yeah, standard I should be tipping 15%, 18% for good service and 20% for exceptional service. Well, I don't mind tipping for exceptional service, but if the service has just been okay, I don't expect to pay 15 or 18%. I mean, here in the UK, the kind of thing that restaurants tend to add on is about 12.5%. Normally, unless the service is unbelievably good, I'll do 10-ish. But to kind of add on another fifth, 20% onto a meal or something, I dislike that. Yeah, you pay for a service. I think it should be reflected in the overall price of the food or whatever. And what I do take objection to is me as the customer having to supplement someone's wages because some company is too tight-fisted to pay its workers a bloody decent wage. And effectively, that's what you've got in the food industry in the States. You get people who work as servers who get paid absolutely bugger all base for their job and therefore rely on their tips. Now, some will argue that the culture of good customer service, which is something, if you've seen my likes of things in the US, you see I put pretty highly, and I really like that culture, and that you only get that culture because people rely on their tipping to do that. But do you know what, I think there's a happy medium, and even bloody good service, I think 20% is taking the piss. I know people say it's discretionary, but have you ever tried walking out of a restaurant where you've supposedly undertipped? It's like the Spanish bloody Inquisition. So yeah, I really dislike that culture of tipping that exists in the States. I do like the culture of customer service, but I think it just goes too far. And so, drum roll to my number one dislike of the USA, and it is you can't get a decent fry up. Now that may be something quite unique to us Brits, but there are times in the morning where I fancy bacon, sausage and eggs. And we've got so many places in the UK where you just roll into a cafe, have a big greasy fry up, and it's lovely. You can't get that in the States. Now that's not to say breakfast in the States isn't good, and I know breakfast is a massive thing in the US. Lots of, even in business, lots of people, they go for breakfast meetings and have big breakfasts. Going for lunch is not so much of a thing, I don't think. And you can get a great breakfast from Denny's, IHOP, all those sorts of places, no problem whatsoever. But I try to have a fry up, and I can get the eggs are okay, fried eggs. But to get a decent bit of bacon and sausage, they have these what they call sausage, pork link sausage or something, which are, they're just awful. They're just not sausage. There are times where I'm dying for a big fat juicy Walls pork sausage. You can't get that. And bacon, well of course, lots of bacon in the States, but it's all streaky smoked bacon that's fried until it's really crisp. Now that's great, that's superb for cooking with, You know, laying over the top of your roast turkey at Christmas, that sort of thing. But actually there's some times where I want, yeah, smoked or unsmoked, I don't care, but a nice big juicy bit of back bacon, you know, with minimal fat on it. You know the type I mean. And again, you just can't get that in the States. And that's the one thing I would so miss. If I was living in the States, I don't think I'd ever get used to that. I'd have to have someone sort of regularly sending me over parcels of Dane pack bacon and Walls pork sausages. So there you go. That's my top 5 dislikes of things in the US. I hope it's not been taken too seriously. I hope you've enjoyed. See you again soon.